Hey everyone, this is Ben from LeaderBuild. This is our first video blog that we're going to be doing. Our plan is to expand into the video realm because it's what we do now. So hopefully you get a lot out of this, but let's get started. Our first subject today, or topic today, is the weave principle. And I learned this principle early on in my ministry, and I saw this demonstration of it was a Native American who came in and was demonstrating how to weave, and she was working on this huge weaving project. It was like 8 feet by 6 feet long, and she was halfway through, and it took her 2 years just to get to that point. But it really fascinated me because a big part of that is that she had so much intentionality and patience involved in that. She knew what she wanted to do, and she brought all kinds of different materials in to make this beautiful I don't know, blanket or weaving, I don't know what we would call it. But a big part of that is just the intentionality. Out of that came the weave principle for me. And basically, it taught me how to weave people into my life is the first part of that. And when you weave someone into your life, it's basically you're saying, you're coming alongside of someone and you're asking them to walk along with you. And Jesus said to his disciples, "Come follow me." And so he lived with his disciples, and weaving people into your leadership is similar the same way. When you bring someone along into your ministry with that. But all the time I hear people say the reason why they don't mentor people is they don't have enough time to do that. They don't have enough time to bring more people into their lives. It's one more meeting or whatever else. And you're going to hear a lot into LeaderBuild if you've been around us that we are passionate and we're obsessed about mentoring, because we feel like mentoring people takes them to the next level of leadership. And I think that if you take the time to bring someone in, and you're intentional about it, and you're weaving them in, you'll see so much more fruit from anything else that you've ever done with that. And it doesn't really, I think when people say, "I don't have enough time," I don't think they really understand that it's really not that much more time that you're adding in, simply because you're weaving them in. So a lot of times I would have people my internships or my interns, I would have them come along and I would ask them, "Hey, let's go out and grab a bite to eat and run errands." And so they would run errands with me. My wife wanted me to pick up something at the store. I'd bring an intern along, and we would just talk, live a life together, weave them into my life. And so it wasn't really like I was setting up all these crazy meetings to impact people. I was basically taking people and trying to weave them more into my life. The second one is about the weave principle is weave God into your leadership. Now, of course, if you're a pastor, that's supposed to be that. But that never really happens. You have to be intentional about that too. And when I mean about weaving God into your leadership is to depend on Him for the things that you need and trust Him for the things you need. And see God as a partner in your ministry, not so much that He's your big boss and you work for Him. So I see that a lot of leaders, especially pastors and Christian leaders, have a tendency to forget about bringing God and weaving God into your life and make Him a part of that. And because you get so focused on serving the King, you neglect, or serving the kingdom, you neglect the King, kind of a thing. So that's another part of that principle about weaving God into your life. The last one is I just came up with this, a while back. It's kind of like weaving the stuff, and that's everything else. That's your goals, your ministry, and it's all the other your priorities, all the higher priorities that you have. You want to weave those things into your life. Now, I hope you picked up something that I've been saying quite a bit. Intentionality. Be intentional about it. Have a plan. I think a lot of times people get discouraged because they have all these things, all these plates that they're trying to spin, and one falls and they get discouraged by that, or a project doesn't go through, or they fail with something, or all the pressures of leadership and ministry else, that they just go with the flow, and it's like being tossed and blown by the wind, that James says. I think a lot of times if you bring to be intentional about things, and you really plan this out to say, I'm going to make this big tapestry, and it's going to take some work, patience, but I'm going to have a really big plan on what the design's going to look like. Well, it's the same thing about your life and your leadership. If you plan it out in some way, and I'm not saying you go crazy about it, don't spend months and weeks, years with it, plan out your life, but maybe just have a thought and say, this week I'm going to try to impact 2 people in my life, or next month I'm going to try to do something bigger for God. I don't know. Okay, well, that was the end of the Weave Principle. If you want to know more about that, you can certainly email me. I hope you got a lot out of it. Thanks a lot.